Good morning, I'm Rodney Jordan. I am co-chair of the VSBA Task Force on Schools in Challenging Environments and a member of the Norfolk City School Board. And on behalf of the Virginia School Boards Association and all of our partners, I welcome you all to the Practices of Promise for Schools in Challenging Environments Summit. I want to start today by recognizing our summit partners, the VCU School of Education, the Virginia Department of Education, the Virginia Association of School Superintendents, and the Office of Governor Terry McAuliffe. Thank you all for your time, generosity, and support. Today's event would not be possible without each of you. So let's give them a round of applause as we thank them for their support and partnership. So today's event will be fast-paced, filled with powerful information, best practices, and special guest speakers. The round-setting table provides a great opportunity to get exposure to numerous areas of interest in a relatively short period of time. And this is a great time to meet other board members, superintendents, and leaders from other divisions. It makes us proud that there are over 175 people in attendance, including school board members, superintendents, central office and building level personnel, members of boards of supervisors and city and town councils, representatives of business, the media, and many other friends of education. I would especially like to thank Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam, Secretary of Education Ann Holton, Superintendent of Public Instruction Steve Staples, and all the members of the Board of Education and Virginia General Assembly for joining us today. Truly, we have Virginia's greatest educational leaders, advocates, and supporters here together in this room. And it is exciting to know that all of us have the same ultimate goal, which is to provide the best possible education for every student in the Commonwealth. And so I thank each of you for attending today. Now, I would like to welcome former VSBA President and current member of the Virginia Board of Education, Joan Wodiska, to offer brief remarks.
Good morning. I want to thank you for the great honor to address you this morning, and I'd specifically like to thank Gina Patterson, VSBA's Executive Director, the task force co-chairs, Mark Lineburg, Mr. Rodney Jordan, and the VSBA Board of Directors and the entire membership. I would also like to recognize and thank Secretary Holton and our distinguished guests that are here today for their participation and sponsorship. VSBA graciously invited me to address you this morning to talk about the origins of this conference. But let me begin by setting today's policy context and then telling a quick story. Since the inception of Improving America's Schools Act, most recently reauthorized as the No Child Left Behind, Virginia schools have been accredited and sanctioned based on student academic achievement and standardized tests. To this end, federal accountability systems intensely focus time, money, energy, and consequences on the lowest performing 25 to 10% of schools in our nation. Given the near exclusive focusing on managing or punishing troubled schools, no rewards, incentives, or supports were awarded to the 75 to 90% of other schools in our nation, or for that matter, Virginia. Sadly, over time, as in most states, Virginia's school accountability system began to mirror the federal accountability system. And so too, Virginia focused policies, support, financial resources on the most troubled schools only after failure. The federal policy went something like this: do a good job, get nothing. Begin to struggle, nothing happens. Fail, nothing happens. Fail multiple times, get punished. For a decade, as you know, I served as an elected local school board member and as an active participant and eventual president of VSBA. Then in February of 2013, I was graciously appointed to the State Board of Education. And for all the meetings that I've attended on the local school board, I will never forget the first meeting I ever had on the State Board of Education. It is forever seared in my memory, and it was the catalyst for today's conference. Before the board that day was a school denied accreditation and under corrective action. Awaiting the division's fate was the board chairman and the superintendent. And as normal procedure, questions were asked of the board chairman and superintendent on why this had happened and what they would do next. The truth, there are no answers. There are no reasons. There are no excuses that are plausible for a school system's failure to educate children. It's simply unacceptable. And during his presentation, the board chairman, he broke down, and with tears in his eyes, he told the board, he told the state, he didn't know what to do, and he didn't know who was in charge of his schools. It was heart-wrenching, but it was honest, and it was courageous. It was a powerful admonition, and it could have been any one of us. Lost, frustrated, uncertain on how to proceed, ready to give up. We've all been there. I responded to the board chairman by saying this: this is hard work, and you, the local school board and superintendent, you are in charge of your schools. You are the backbone of accountability, but you are not alone. And so I pressed and I offered, what can the state do to help you? That evening, this exchange lingered. It bothered me. I wanted to do more. I felt helpless myself. I felt we hadn't done enough. The failure of any school reflects poorly on every one of us. Local leaders had to lead, and we had to help other local leaders. And so that night, I called school board members across the state, and I picked up the phone and I called Gina Patterson at VSBA. And together we devised a proactive plan to create this task force on challenged schools. The task force would collect and share best practices, build community, and most importantly, engage local leaders in courageous conversations to improve our schools. The next month, I presented the plan to the VSBA Board of Directors, and it was unanimously approved. In education, we don't let children fail, and schools shouldn't be allowed to fail either. In my view and that view of VSBA's, no school district should ever fail before support, assistance, or partnerships can be offered. Moreover, it was time to shift our culture in the state from managing failure to supporting and rewarding success. Today, this conference is evidence that in Virginia we're shifting that culture. OEI isn't an answer. Federal and state takeovers are not a long-term solution. Neither, for that matter, is finger-pointing or blame games or excuses. Because the fact is this: education is a team sport, and we all are responsible. Local school board members, superintendents, the Secretary of Education, state staff, the State Board of Education, the superintendent of schools, even the governor. We all bear the burden of failure, and together we can all celebrate the joy of success. In Virginia, when a student struggles, together we stand up and we fight for that child. We do everything we possibly can. And now, thanks to our collective efforts, the work of the task force, and your participation in this event today, when a school struggles or falls down, we can stand together, and we can get that school help. It's often said that the true measure of a school is how it helps its lowest performing students succeed, and so too, the true measure of our work together as educators is how we will help all schools across the state succeed. I want to commend you and VSBA to the work that you have done, to the work that you will do today. You have shown and you have created a safe place for leaders to have courageous conversations. You have built a community, you have built a place to share, and most importantly, you have created the environment where it is once again safe to raise your hand and say, I don't have the answers, but I want to be better. Going forward, Virginians have an opportunity to fill the leadership gap that's been created by federal policy. We will need a state-federal framework, one that changes the culture and creates an accountability system that supports local leaders, innovation, and creativity. We'll have to work hard to accelerate, scale, and share best practices just as you are doing today, to reward and recognize and cheerlead performance, to foster safe environments for professional learning communities, for professionals to talk and share and grow. And we must truly support and partner with struggling schools before failure occurs. Recently, a school leader said to me, "Hope is not a strategy for school reform." I certainly agree. But I know we must never lose hope, and we must always share the goal to be better. I want to thank you for your participation in today's conference, for the work that you are doing to change the culture in which that we have these conversations, and for rolling up your sleeves and working so hard to not only help students in your division, but to take ownership and responsibility for Virginia students statewide. Thank you very much.
So again, I'd like to thank Joan, and we appreciate your continued support of the VSBA Task Force. It's my pleasure to bring up our Task Force co-chair, Dr. Mark Lineburg, Superintendent of Winchester Schools. And I would like to just take a moment again just to maybe just tell a little bit about me in addition to what I've already described. And I grew up suburban. I now live urban. I'm a little stocky guy. But also have this great co-chair.
Hello, I'm Mark Lineburg, and I'm Superintendent of Schools from Winchester City and co-chair of the Virginia School Board Association Task Force on Challenging Schools. I grew up in Southwest Virginia, and I'm the son of a coach.
But you know what? We are brothers.
We are brothers. I'm convinced that American public schools are the world's most important institution.
And I believe that challenge schools with the ultimate goal of eliminating is critical. Eliminating challenging environments is critical for our democracy and to our economy.
Rodney, when we started this process, you said we have to have courage. Yes, courage.
Yes, Mark, courage to talk about the toughest issues, courage to talk about race, courage to talk about poverty, equity and justice, funding and resources, and academic success for all children.
If we're going to talk about the challenge schools, then we have to talk about poverty and race. We have 37 priority schools in Virginia with an average rate of 84% poverty and an 88% minority rate.
In 60 years after Brown versus the Board of Education, our challenge schools remain segregated by color of our skins and the size of our bank accounts.
Yes, Ronnie, we should all be embarrassed that the schools we consider the most challenged are characterized as brown, black, and poor.
You know, shame on the entire Commonwealth, and let us say this again. Our Commonwealth for allowing us to have these segregated schools in challenging environments. Shame on us for not investing more in each of these schools and communities. And these are our schools in our communities.
You know, Ronnie, I'm an R.
Come on, Mark. I thought we're brothers. I'm a D.
But Rodney, I love the Redskins.
Oh, but Mark, I love you, brother. But you know, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I'm a D.
I just want us to win the Super Bowl.
But I just want us to win the Super Bowl.
We just want to win the Super Bowl.
That's right. We want to win the Super Bowl together. So both R's and D's want to win the Super Bowl.
You know, Rodney, I am the son of a coach. And I think if we finally pulled the Redskins and Cowboys together and combined teams, we could finally have a Super Bowl champion.
Well, to win the Super Bowl, it is going to take a team. It's going to take a team. It's going to take teamwork. And it's going to take every single person on the roster to win it all.
Rodney, our challenge schools want to win the Super Bowl as well. They desire great test scores, high graduation rates, low dropout rates. They want what's best for children.
Yes, and to reach that goal, it's going to take every group in the Commonwealth pulling together to get us to our goal. Sticking with the NFL theme, you know, they understand that in order for the league to be strong, every team has to be competitive. So if you win the Super Bowl one year, you don't turn around and get the first draft pick the next year. The teams that may have some challenges get the first draft pick.
That's right, Ronnie. It's going to take all of us.
It's going to take a team to win this game.
It's going to take all of us. It's going to take the State Board of Education. It's going to take the parents. It's going to take teachers. It's going to take the General Assembly. It's going to take the governor. It's going to take the superintendents. It's going to take everybody in our Commonwealth.
It's going
It's
to
going to take a team to win this game.
And as Joan mentioned earlier, in order to improve the team, we must acknowledge and recognize our weaknesses, and we have to build upon our strengths.
So, Rodney, let's talk about numbers and issues.
One of the toughest challenges we have in challenge schools is training and retaining our high-quality, highly effective educators.
That's right, Rodney. In Petersburg, one of our most challenged school districts, the teacher turnover rate is 27%.
And in our affluent school district, the turnover rate is less than 2%. So consider the stability in a head coach and the quarterback of the New England Patriots versus our beloved Cowboys and Redskins. Okay? Turnover matters. So you have one team that has standard success, the coach stays there for 10 years. You have teams like ours, and the coach is constantly turning over. Turnover matters.
Ronnie, why is it so hard to keep teachers in our most challenged schools?
I mean, it's just hard to work in a challenging environment. They have more data they have to deal with. They have to undergo more training. They are often crippled with all these other mandates to get placed upon them. They have to be social workers. They have to be a whole lot of things. And they just have to be tough and really willing to have a passion just to be able to work in those schools.
Ronnie, the one thing our task force came up with is very practical solutions and practical answers to keeping teachers in the most challenging environments. Some of our strategies included adding 10 days to the teacher contract, because we know in challenging environments, teachers have to work harder. They have to do more home visits. They need more training. They look at more data. They need more. So maybe we can add 10 days to their contract. We need to prepare for loan forgiveness for our teachers, housing incentives, and even a better VRS plan to keep the teachers on board in our most challenged schools.
You know, we talk a lot about accountability, but the reality is our teachers in the most challenged schools are the most accountable teachers in America.
Gosh, Rodney, I'm all for accountability.
Yes, we want all accountability. We all want accountability. But, you know, that includes our politicians must be held accountable to pivot from constant punishment to being held accountable to treat our teachers differently and find ways to recruit and keep the best teachers in the toughest situations.
Ronnie, the one thing I always hear about is the achievement gap. Everyone thinks it's just the challenged schools that do poorly on standardized test scores.
Well, the truth is that students in poverty across the Commonwealth score on average 25% below their peers not in poverty.
That's right, Rodney, and that's right, audience. Regardless of school districts, our students in poverty are far and away our most challenged population.
So an important focus of our task force was to close the resource gap between our schools.
Yeah. The resource gap between students in poverty and those not in poverty is the greatest factor in closing the achievement gap between students in poverty and those not in poverty. We also know that preparing our children as the emerging workforce and business leaders of tomorrow means that our children must learn to work together and lead. Closing or eliminating resource gap does not mean accepting separate but equitable.
And we should all agree that proving an effective early childhood education is critical because most brain development is before the age of 5.
Yes, Rodney, our task force recommends easier access to a robust preschool for our most at-risk children.
And we also know that our most challenged students need more instructional time. The way to get more instructional time is to add more days to the calendar in the summer, expand after-school programs at our most challenged schools.
Yes, Rodney, I'm in the no excuses camp. I want to be clear, poverty is not an excuse for lack of achievement.
Mark, I'm in the no excuse camp as well, and I want to be clear that there is no excuse for not helping our most challenged schools and our most challenged children to be successful.
Yeah.
There
are no excuses. One of the largest resource gaps we have is technology. Let's be clear, our ELL students don't speak English well, Spanish well, nor do they have access to technology.
Yet every test we give is through the computer.
Yes, we want accountability and
no excuses. We must get technology in the hands of every
single child.
So we are here today again to share some of the best plays from a variety of playbooks to lead us to a Super Bowl victory.
Like those of you here, we take this work seriously. We know that the success of children is at the core of all we do. We want for all children, we want for our own children. So again, we thank you for your service and your professional dedication to this tough work, and we look forward to joining you today in this critical summit.